Hiya! I'm SM64, and this is Mario 64 BAZR. This is a ROM hack that was created very recently, in February, as part of the Simple Flips Chaos Mario competition. I've been playing it a little bit since it came out, and I think it's wonderful, so I wanted to bring it to BSG this year. So this video is intended as a submission to that marathon, and the timer will start now. So, BAZR is broadly a hack that turns Mario 64 into a roguelike deck builder. And right off the bat, we rolled into TikTok Clock, which is not a great place to start, so we're going to get rid of that in a minute, but more on that later. You can see these cards in the top right. These are the moves that I have access to. That was embarrassing. Anytime that you use whatever action is currently on a button, the durability of that card goes down by 1, and when it runs out, you discard it and draw a new card. And so every time that you go back into a level, your whole deck refreshes, and you can buy and find new cards to expand your deck or upgrade cards that you already have to have more uses. And so basically, the goal of the hack is to get 16 stars and then to complete the 3 BAZR levels, all back to back. And you start off with a pretty small deck with just some very basic abilities. So hang on, if I line this up correctly, yeah, okay. I figured that was what I was going for. It's been a minute since I did this run, so I'm a little, I don't fully remember how it went. Anyway, the level that you get is random, and you can spend a little bit of money to re-roll. We get Bob on Battlefield, that's much better. So there's a lot more to do with just a very basic deck with not a lot of moves in Bob on Battlefield than in TikTok Clock. Because TikTok Clock is such a big, drawn-out vertical stage, you need a lot of jumps to be able to move around in it and actually get everywhere. Whereas Bob on Battlefield, very flat. You can just sort of walk to most places, which is very nice early on because you have so few jumps early on, altogether maybe a dozen jumps. So you really want to get stars that you don't need to jump for, and that's going to remain true for most of the game. We do have enough jumps to go out of our way for that red coin though, just to get a little bit of extra money. So money in this hack actually does do stuff. Not only can you use it to re-roll the level, you can also use it to buy cards from Luigi, upgrade your cards at Vivian, or go gambling with Monty Mole, which can get you cards, but sometimes those cards will be bad, actively bad for you. So you want to be a little bit careful there. I don't think I actually ended up using Monty Mole in this run. I don't usually. Certainly if you're trying to go fast, gambling at Monty's is not really the best thing to do. Anyway, this star here with Koopa the Quick, this is still not a great star. You sort of just have to wait for him to show up, which gives me an opportunity to talk about the time bonus. So when you collect a star, based on how long it took you to get it, you will get a time bonus of coins, and that can be negative. If you're really slow, you're going to lose coins when you pick up a star. So you really want to try and get everywhere, as quick as you can, right? Obviously, this particular run is a speed run, but even if it wouldn't be, that is how you play the game as well. Now, Koopa the Sluggish here, unfortunately, is very consistent. Obviously, he shows up at the top here at the same time every time, just like in the normal games. It's sort of a slow star, but you still get a reasonable coin bonus for it anyway. In fact, I'm not even sure, but it might just be based on the time you get in the race. I'm not 100%. Anyway, Bob on Battlefield is a great place to start because you can get at least 3 of the stars here very easily, and usually you can get 5. So right there at the shop, I just bought another jump card, very basic card, but very good. That's one of my personal favorites. It's very cost efficient in terms of how much money it costs and what you get for it. Earlier, you'll note I talked to that Bob-omb before doing the race with Koopa the Quick. That was because talking to the Bob-ombs in BAZR opens these card vaults on the map where you can just go and pick up a card free of charge, which usually isn't that big of a deal because it's just a random card and those aren't necessarily super good. But certainly the one we got just now was the rocket launch, which is actually very useful, and that's going to come into play right here in Bob on Battlefield. It's going to be a way for us to get up to the island. All of the cannons in all of the levels that have cannons have been removed, and so you need to use some of these really funny weird cards to actually get up to places like that. So that rocket launch is going to be very useful later. A lot of the cards in the game are just sort of normal actions that you can take, but not the rocket launch. No, not the rocket launch. We can just use that to just whee on up the mountain as soon as we draw it, which is great. Didn't mean to get grabbed by the bomb there, but luckily he didn't actually throw me off, so it's mostly fine. I'm going to mulligan this dive kick here. When I say mulligan, it's a card game term. I mean, just get rid of it and redraw a new card. In case you've never heard it before, that's how I'm going to be using it here. Because I needed to get the punch card in order to actually be able to fight King Bob-omb. So that's what we're doing right now. This is not any different than normal. You might note, if you know anything about Mario 64 speedrunning, which I really don't, that I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm probably not fighting him particularly well or otherwise like moving around well. I'm not a Mario 64 runner. I just happen to really, really like this hack, and I wanted to bring it to BSG for that reason. But you can see that I'm not good at Mario 64, as I horribly missed that star 3 times in a row. My depth perception is middling at best. I'm usually more of a 2D game person. Anyway, as I was saying, with the rocket launch, we will actually be able to make it to the floating island, which unlocks another 2 stars here in Bob-omb's. I still don't really have what it takes to get Mario wings to the sky, unfortunately. You really do want the wing cap for that. Or maybe there's a couple other cards that sort of help as well, but mostly it's the wing cap, and we don't have any of that, so we're not going to get that one. At least I don't expect to, and I remember this. I didn't get it. But there it is. There's the rocket launch. So now I'm just going to go over to just below the island here and line it up so that I can just... Give it a second. Oh, no, I got the clip card. Never mind. So I'm going over to the chomp, actually. There we go. Okay. I thought I was going to go to the island. I guess that'll come next. But, yeah, the clip card, very neat. It just, if you're up against a wall, you just, bloop, you go right through it. There's a lot of these sorts of really broken cards that do all sorts of crazy stuff. The rocket launch, as you saw earlier, right, sends you flying. The clip card lets you just clip straight through things. The updraft wind just spawns an updraft somewhere. These kinds of things. It's wonderful. There's a lot of really funny cards. There's one that just teleports you somewhere at random. It's absolutely fantastic. Well, lucky for me, we drew the rocket launch card immediately again, so this time I can actually go over to the island, and that'll be great. So let's see. I'm gonna line this up, and then we just, yeah, that should be fine. Alley-oop! Isn't that fantastic? Alright, and then I'm actually gonna get to do the speedrunner thing because I happen to have a jump and the crouch card, so I can actually do the ground pound to grab that star. I'm sort of surprised that worked. I was really low already, but hey, there we go. So now there's only one more star that I can really reasonably get here because, like I said, Mario Wings to the Sky is sort of a whole other thing. So I presume I'm going to go back for that in a second. But first, apparently, we're checking the store some more. If you're just playing casually, strictly speaking, it's best to just check the store in between every level because it refreshes every level. Every time you get a star or die, it refreshes. And so, you get more looks at something that's useful, maybe, if you just keep checking the store. But obviously, for a speedrun, we do have to go out of our way to walk over there. I'm still usually going to do it just because, given the chaotic, funny nature of this ROM hack and also my terrible skill level at Mario 64, it's not that big of a deal for me to just go do that. It's like I don't really care. But strictly speaking, you're probably usually better off trying to minimize the number of visits that you make to the store because obviously it takes time to walk over there and back. So that is a whole thing. Now right here, I'm sort of just doing some moves even when I don't really need to. That's because I'm trying to mulligan towards the rocket launch or other really useful cards. I have plenty of jumps and things to make it through this star. So I'm just getting rid of some of my moves just to get stuff that might speed me up. Here I can use the dive kick to get this red coin. That's a little unusual. The physics of the game have been slightly altered in BAZR to where you're a little bit better at running up slopes. Well, a lot better at running up slopes. Here's the rocket jump again. That's what I was mulliganing for. So now we can just get on up to the island again. Alley up and pick up that coin. Very smooth. No, but I don't remember what I was saying. Forget it. Anyway, Oh, yeah, the physics are slightly changed. So, like, the way that you walk on slopes is a little bit different, and the way that, like, cards just sort of let you take actions at certain times also overrides slopes sometimes in a way that it wouldn't necessarily be able to do in the vanilla game. These kinds of things. The interactions between everything is a little bit different. So, if you know a lot about Mario 64 and something looks a little bit off to you at some point, you know, don't be too surprised. Anyway, the beta jump that I used there, by the way, I bought that earlier. Hadn't really had a chance to use it yet. That's one of the better cards in the game. It just sort of sends you straight up. It makes a harrowing noise, and then it lets you drift slowly down, and you get a lot of air control. Right there, I accidentally bought the weak jump when I meant to buy the special triple jump, and I didn't notice. I remember this. It was very unfortunate, and I get jump scared by it a little bit here when I think, wow, where did this weak jump come from? What the hell? Now, luckily, weak jump really isn't a bad card. It's totally fine, but it's not great. Now, right here, I'm just repeatedly mulliganing a whole bunch of cards until I can get something a little more useful, i.e. the rocket launch, so that I can just alley-oop to get up here. Now, I do screw it up a little bit. I try to beta jump right to this platform. You actually can't make that. You have to go down here. I learned that on this run. But it still sort of works. I'm just a little discombobulated and don't really know what to do, so I end up spending a whole bunch of jumps just getting up the slope. Sort of a shame, but it's totally fine. We have plenty of jumps to make it to the star. So this is the way that BAZR is, right? All the levels are more or less the same as they normally are, with the exceptions to that being the water levels. Those have been pretty significantly changed. Jolly Roger Bay and Wet Dry World are very different. And the other one, what's it called? It's the last water level. Oh. Dire Docks doesn't exist, so you won't see that. Anyway, most of the levels are pretty much the same, but what you end up doing is you use these crazy powerful cards to really, like, cheese them. Here's Wet Dry World, by the way. Wet Dry World is pretty different. Oh yeah, this was embarrassing. I'm gonna just drown. It's really unfortunate. Anytime you fall in water, you immediately drown. That's another one of the changes. And anytime you void out, either in water or in a pit, you do get to respawn. You don't just immediately die, but it does take one of your cards away. It just discards one of your cards immediately, which obviously really sucks. Now, if I recall correctly, I get sort of screwed by the heave hose here. I didn't really manage them properly. This is another case where, like, you can see that I'm not actually very good at Mario 64 at all. But luckily we get the rocket jump, so I can just launch myself up here. And when we can manipulate this heave-ho into this corner so that he consistently throws you exactly up here, it's a very consistent little setup. And then we can just use the beta jump to go over here and pick up this star. Very nice. Beta jump's very, very good. I think needless to say. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, you use all of these really broken moves like the beta jump, the rocket launch, the random teleport, anything and everything to just get through the levels as quick as you can. And if you do really cheesy stuff that gets you up in certain places really quickly, you get extra time bonus coins, and so you get very rich. I have 160 coins right now, which is awesome. And that's really, really important. The economy of this game is sort of everything, basically. You really need to get fast in order to get lots of money, and you want to have lots of money in order to be able to purchase lots of jumps, because at the end, in the Bowser Gauntlet, you have to do all 3 Bowser stages in a row. You don't have to fight Bowser, but you do have to do the 3 levels themselves. And you have to do them all with one deck. Your deck doesn't refresh in between the way that it does in between stars. And so you need to just have a certain number of jumps available to you by the end of the game in order to be able to make it through the 3 Bowser stages. And so you need a certain amount of cash to be able to do that. Now, of course, there are certain cards, like the Rocket Launch, for example, where they give you so much height or distance in some cases that you can actually just cheese through parts of the Bowser stages. And that's a very important thing as well, is you can sort of economize a little bit that way, because like this one card will get me through this whole section later. You can sort of make decisions based on that as well. So you're going to see me trying to get some cheesy stuff from Luigi. I usually call Luigi the cheese dealer, because if you want to just get more jumps, you may as well talk to Vivian and just upgrade the cards you have. But if you want to do some broken stuff that'll get you through large chunks of levels all at once, then you need these crazy broken cards that Luigi sometimes sells. Nice jump. Wow. That was amazing. Now, it's another thing to be noted sort of in the context of me submitting this to the Benelux Speedrunner Gathering, which I sort of had to speed through at the start there. Had to get started on this very quickly. It was unfortunate, but whatever. Is that I want to submit this with an incentive for what deck I play, because you can choose from a number of different starting decks, and you know, obviously they have different cards in them, and some of them start with some of these more broken things, these more unusual things, and so some of those are really, really fun, and it's really funny. Right here I'm going to show off, I'm going to use 3 separate buttons to do those jumps across the platforms just to look cool. You can tell what button I press, right, because the durability goes down, and also the cards do a little bumpy animation. But anyway, the other decks that I'm considering using for that bid war incentive would be the Luigi deck, which gives you permanent Luigi physics, as well as really high jumps. The Toad deck, which makes you really fast, but gives you high gravity, so you sort of suck at jumping. And the Mei deck, which has a couple Totsugeki cards in it. And those make you just fly forwards, and they're really chaotic, but they're also really powerful and really fast. I think that's my personal favorite deck. I don't know if it's actually the fastest necessarily, but it's fun. Right there I just used the clip card a couple times, because I know I'm not going to need that this level. It doesn't really do anything for me. So I don't want it to take up card space in my hand, right? Now, Tall Mountain was a great roll here, by the way. I didn't want to be in Wet Dry World anymore because none of the other Wet Dry World missions are any good with the deck that I have. But Tall Mountain is great. Tall Mountain, I can actually get most of the stars with just the base deck. And so, obviously, I have a deck that's significantly better at this point. We're already 10 stars in. So, I can actually do everything in Tall, really, without any trouble, which is awesome. So right here, I'm just going to jump to the waterfall. There we go. That's one. Now, the goal of this, like I said, I think a little bit ago, is eventually to get 16 stars. And once you get 16 stars, the game just automatically says, okay, go do the BAZR Gauntlet, and you can't go into the normal stages anymore. Which also means you can't earn any money anymore. So you really got to sort of craft your deck in those first 16 stars. Any good cards? Triple Jump's pretty good. You'll have noticed I'm buying a lot of those. The sort of basic jump cards are really among the best cards in the game, I think. If you're just playing this hack casually, though, which I am still doing repeatedly, the replay value on this is insane. You know, a lot of the chaotic cards can be really fun, right? To just like go flying off, teleporting, blowing everything up, right? There's one that just makes Mario explode. There's a lot of really funny stuff. And it's a lot of fun to sort of screw around with it and say like, okay, well for this run, I'm only going to buy these kinds of cards or whatever, right? There's all of these different restrictions and all of these different starting decks, and so you can keep playing this hack forever. It's absolutely fantastic. Anyway, I think I'm going for the red coins here because I started with Coin Magnet, and so I figure the red coins are going to be really easy. So I'm trying not to use cards with low durability, because if I draw any more cards, I could draw my other passive card, which would overwrite the Coin Magnet. Unfortunately for me, when I do this second triple jump, that's exactly the card that I draw. The old 1 in 16. So that means my Coin Magnet is no longer on, which means I have to do this for real. And I suck at the mushrooms. Luckily, I don't fall. I'm really surprised I didn't fall. Okay. Commentator's curse, I suppose. Anyway, that's honestly the most I was going to get out of that rocket jump. That might have looked a bit like a waste, but it really wasn't. This red coin section I hate, because I always forget where they are, because again, I'm not good at Mario 64. And there's one, it was just now on screen below me, that I forgot about, because it was covered up by my cards. So that's really annoying. I'm going to have to go back down for that in a minute. I remember this. But yeah. The updraft card is really great as well. I was talking about this before. It just spawns an updraft wind wherever you are, and then you just go up for a second. It's very useful actually. So right now I'm just looking for where this last red coin is, and I don't think I actually saw it just there, but I did see it when I flew up, so we're good. Now I also have to find my way to the star. This is me not really knowing Mario 64 very well, so I had to look around for a second to see where it actually was, but oh well, so be it. I do know where to get all of the stars in Tall Tall Mountain. One thing that I still need to learn, that I do intend to learn before BSG, is I want to figure out how to get the star from the Tall Tall Mountain slide without going through the slide. Because I know you can do that, and I know it's fast. And certainly in BAZR, it's much easier because you can do this like floating or spawning platforms or whatever to get down there easier. So I should definitely learn how to do that. On this run, I just did the slide. And that's all well and good as well, actually, because on this run I have Coin Magnet. And so doing the slide while all of the coins on it just sort of come to me is actually really lucrative. So that ends up being kind of useful. I just make a lot of bank that way, which makes the later few levels really easy. So that's pretty cool. Is that the next star I'm going to do? Is this the slide? I don't remember. I think I'm going to do the slide now. I really don't remember, though. Like I said, it's been a minute. I did this run 2 days ago. Anyway, I just go for the mushroom. Yeah, okay. Beta jump's very useful here again, right? This is what I was talking about before. You can just sort of float down to wherever it is you need to be. So as long as you're higher than where you're going, beta jump just says, okay, all good, you got it. And so that also means I get a really high time bonus, because we did that very, very quickly, using the shortcut with the updraft and then just jump down there real quick. That's very nice. That's really where you make most of your money in this. Let's see, anything good? Mario Choir. That's my personal favorite card, I think. That's not a real card, right? But like, out of all of the cards, I think that's my favorite. It's just a special card, so it doesn't go in your hand. It also doesn't override your passive card. It just happens, and as soon as you draw it, you can hear it now. It makes it so that all of the music is suddenly tone-shifted Maro noises. Can you hear it? Isn't that nice? I like the Mario Choir. So right here, I use the rocket jump and then the updraft plus a triple to just make it up here real quick, and then I can use some more triples to just go up the side of this and get this star real quick. It could have been way faster. Obviously, I messed that up a little bit, right? You could see me struggling. But that's still very fast, and all of the, like, time, like, records that you're supposed to beat to get extra coins are based on doing the casual strat. Doing it pretty quickly, you know, knowing where you're going, but doing the casual strat. And so doing anything, even remotely like what I just did, gets you a lot of money, which is awesome, because I can buy a bunch of extra jumps and stuff. And I bought a random teleport card there, which is really, really cool. That's going to be pretty useful. Not here in Tall Tall. It's not super good in Tall Tall because a lot of the possible locations that can put you in Tall Tall are actually just slopes where you'll immediately slide off and die. So you sort of don't want to press that button on Tall Tall, but it'll be very useful for the BAZR stages. And right here, once again, I'm just going to rocket launch alley-oop. There we go. We're halfway up the mountain already. A little more, actually. And then I can just jump on over. The coin magnet's going to give me a little bit of extra money. It's always nice. And then we can go do the slide now. There we go. So once again, the coin magnet gets me a bunch of extra money. And it's just, this mod is so fun because like I said, right, it has infinite replay value. You have a different deck every time, obviously. And all of the cards are so silly and powerful, and you just get to do silly stuff, like have the coin magnet, or launch yourself 12,000 feet into the air, or be Luigi, or just die LMAO. There's cards that just, like, deplete half your health, or whatever, when you draw them. It's so funny. This mod is fantastic. It's such a good hack. Oh yeah, this was embarrassing. I remember this vividly. It takes me so much effort to just get in the hole. It's really unfortunate. Alright. Anyway, we only need one more star now, so I just have to go talk to the monkey. And yeah, like, look at that, right? Like, maybe that was a pretty slow way to get the star, but I picked up 91 coins in that level. That's good. So much money. I'm rich. This is great. Oh, man. That's awesome. So at this point, oh, more beta jumps. Wow. 2 more beta jump cards. That's really good. At this point, though, like, we're coming up on the end, right? It's just 1 more star and then the BAZR levels. And I still don't really have any major cheese. I have 1 random teleport. I have the rocket launch. I think that's it. I hate updrafts. I hate updrafts. Why did I do that? Why did I do that? Anyway, I don't really have any crazy cheese. Right here I was just mulliganing because I'd really like to find the rocket launch to get up quicker, and I also need to have the punch card eventually in order to actually catch the monkey. So I needed to get rid of some cards there. Anyway, so the BAZR stages, my point, I'm going to need to play them mostly straight, right? I'm going to just need to jump across all of the platforming for the most part. And now that's totally fine. I easily have enough jumps to do that. Certainly with how rich I am, I can still upgrade some of my cards before we actually get there. And then I'll be totally fine. I'm not worried about it, but it's not particularly fast. So this run is definitely... It's improvable because I am not super good at Mario, but also it's just improvable in terms of RNG. I think if you get a little bit more cheese and just like break the game a little wider open, then like it'll be even faster. Now I do also want to put a little asterisk there and say that it could also very easily be slower. This was a very good run by my standards. Also, wow, caught the monkey in 1 go. Let's go. No, but this was a very good run by my standards. Oh yeah, this was really unfortunate. Critics are already calling that the gamer move of the century. Anyway, this run was very good by my standards. It ended up at like just over 30 minutes something time. And I did everything pretty quickly. I didn't die ever, which is very unusual for me. And like, all in all, I'm just very proud of this one. It could definitely be a lot slower. I think when I submit this to BSG, I'm probably going to set the estimate to 1 hour for a couple of reasons. Even though, you know, obviously that's very generous, right, given what I just told you. But there's a couple of reasons for that. One is that, again, just this run could have been so much slower if I just was played a little more sloppy, if I was just a little stupider in a couple of places. It's very easy to lose minutes at a time sometimes. Nice ledge grab, wow. But also, if I play with any of the other decks that are a little bit more unusual, a little more chaotic, the chances of me like going off the rails and losing a bunch of time increase a lot, right? Certainly if I have to play with the Toad deck, which is actually quite difficult, these sorts of things, then like I don't want to have the estimate be too low for the other decks. So the Mario deck and also the Luigi deck would probably definitely be fine, but the Toad deck and the Mei deck, or the Totsugeki deck, wouldn't be as fine, necessarily. It would really depend. So I'm going to submit this probably at an hour estimate, just to play it very, very safe. Conveniently, that also gives me the opportunity to restart a time or two, because if you have to start on really bad levels, specifically if you're playing as Toad and you have to start on TikTok Clock or Rainbow Ride, then I just reset normally, because it's just not even from like a speedrunning competition standpoint where like, oh, it's not worth it to try this. That's also true, but I won't be able to get the run off the ground if I do that. Nice save, me, holy. No, because like those levels with reduced jump height on the Toad deck are just, it's impossible to just get even the 1 star and then get out of there. I find it very difficult, and that's partially just because I'm bad at the game, right? Just, you know, let's be honest. But still. So I'd be very happy if at the marathon, if I end up running this, I'll be able to have a little room right at the start to just reset once or twice, just to make sure that we can sort of get a good showcase with a good start. Anyway, like I was saying before, I don't really have any major cheese for the BAZR levels, so instead I'm playing it more or less straight. I'm just using a bunch of jumps or jump adjacent effects to get up here. Oh, this is funny. Look at this. Here we go. The way that you can just smoothly fall into the pipes with the updraft is really great. Right here, I'm just going to use the rocket jump to get over to the side here, and then just lava boost, pick up this coin. The coin magnet is great in Fire Sea. I didn't need to jump there. I could have just lava boosted the first time as well, but it's fine. The coin magnet makes it so that you really don't need to worry about health, and you already sort of don't usually in Fire Sea. It's totally fine. You can use lava boosts to like essentially replace needing to jump in certain places, right? But when you have coin magnet, that that exacerbates that. You get to just lava boost so much in places where you really shouldn't be able to do that because it's just super safe, which is awesome. Weak jump actually came in pretty useful there. You need to be in the air to grab onto the poles. So sometimes you'll see me like wait for a platform to go down so that I can fall onto a pole, for instance. But other times I just use a weak jump to just grab it real easily, which is nice. The bully is being a bully, but it's okay. We can just go over here with a lava boost and then make it over. That's totally fine. So I have my random teleport card in hand already. And at this point in Fire Sea, I no longer need to jump ever again. I could. It might speed things up a little bit, but there's no need to, and so I don't, because I'm playing it safe. I don't want to run out of jumps and just die. I know I have a lot of cards still in my deck, but, I don't want to risk it. And then, I have the random teleport card already in my hand, so I'm saving that for BAZR in the Sky, because we're already most of the way through Fire Sea. It doesn't make sense to use it now. And in BAZR in the Sky, if you sort of end up using the random teleport at an appropriate time, or if you use the random teleport right at the start and it sends you any amount of the way up, you get to basically skip needing to jump, X number of times, which is very, very nice when you're on a limited jump budget. We also have our rocket launch card, or what's left of it. We already used it once, but I upgraded it before, so we have 3 uses, which is nice. So we can use that as well to try and cheese a little bit of BAZR in the Sky. So let's see where the teleport takes us. I have no idea where this is. You can see me looking around. I remember this as well. I was really disorientated by this. At this point, I've sort of figured it out, but also I got hit in the butt by fire. I shouldn't have fallen off. That almost killed me, which would have been very bad, needless to say. But we're fine for now. At this point, I've thought of a good way to use my rocket launches, and so I'm trying to line this up, but I didn't know where I was supposed to go. But here we are, and we can just go up the side. Perfect. Skipped 2 whole sort of stages of it that way. That was really sweet. Then we can just hit this button, do a couple of triple jumps and things. That was imperfect, to say the least. That was very imperfect, but we made it up. I still have 13 cards left in my deck. I think some number of those aren't really jump-related cards, but plenty of them also are. So we should be totally fine from here. Again, though, I really don't have any cheese anymore, so we do just sort of have to play through the rest of BAZR in the Sky. I'm just going to use a jump there to not have to wait for the fire. I feel like I have plenty of jumps and it just doesn't matter. And that's true. So right here we can heal up again. Health is pretty abundant in the BAZR stages, even when you don't have Coin Magnet, but especially when you do. It's just never really a concern. I'm just jumping across all of this stuff. I forgot that you could have just walked down here without waiting for the moving platform, but so be it. Then once again, you can only grab poles while you're in the air, so I do have to spend a jump to do that. Then we can just climb up here. Ideally, we would have skipped all of that stuff by just using some kind of a cheese card to jump up somewhere around this area from the big gray sticky wall over that you can see on the right now. We would have ended up somewhere like over here, but whatever, so be it. I have plenty of jump cards to make it through the end without needing to do that. That's totally fine. So yeah, still have 9 cards left in deck. I have no idea what they are. Well, one of them is the Mario Choir. I also forgot how the wind worked here, so I started jumping into it, which is not the way that you're supposed to go. But having said that, I'll make it to the end regardless. We can pick up the key, and that's time. So yeah, that's BAZR. Just a very quick little showcase. This was very, I guess, disoriented commentary, where like, I had to sort of do this very quickly, right? Because it was a 30-minute run. I do have some time here for afterthoughts, but I didn't get a whole lot of time to explain everything. Like the main gimmick of this ROM hack is so cool. It's it's not just that Mario becomes a deck builder, right? There's more to it. It's also that your buttons change constantly, right? Because when you draw a new card, it just goes onto whatever button the card you just spent was on. The buttons being B, A, Z, and R, right? BAZR. And so, like, what your buttons do constantly changes, which is... it's a magnificent game concept. It's awesome. I wish that there... I mean, for all I know, there might be, but I wish that there was a game that just had this as its fundamental concept, where, like, even if it wasn't a deck builder, say that your buttons just constantly rotated, and there was a visual display on screen of, okay, what your buttons do right now, and, like, it's on, like, a random timer where every so often it just changes it. That could be a really cool way to play. I really appreciate sort of having to make the extra strong connection between brain and hand while playing BAZR. It's just a hoot. Like I said, it has basically infinite replay value. I really appreciate this ROM hack a lot for that. And so, yeah. Like I said, I hope I can get this into BSG. I think it'd be sweet. I'd like to do that bid war with the what the starting deck should be. I feel like that could be fun. Yeah. I don't know. This mod's just sweet. I just want to show it off, you know? In any event, that'll be all for me for right now. I'm probably going to submit another couple of runs to BSG as well, and I'll be recording commentary for those as well. And those will be longer, mostly. One of them will be shorter, actually. I also intend, if I can, before the deadline, I also intend on submitting Super Roboy, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, and SteamWorld Heist 2. So, yeah, we'll see what I make of that. For now, I've been Deedle74. Thanks for watching, and see ya.